climate activist group Blockade Australia are currently taking to the streets of Sydney, promising mass disruption for commuters. It marks the first day of a promised week-long protest from the group. Kenny Heatley is out and about in the Sydney CBD. Hopefully he's caught his breath a little bit. Kenny, what is the latest?
We've covered a lot of Ks this morning, Pete. They're moving quite quickly through the city, but the police have moved in front of them. We have seen one arrest so far take place. It was a male. He was wearing a hoodie and a mask. There's about 100, a little bit more climate activists here known as Blockade Australia. That seems to be the front of the protest there. Police about 100 metres ago tried to get in front of them and stop them and tried to pull them off the road by force. That didn't really work. The police seem to be a little bit outnumbered at this point, although there are a lot of police cars following them in behind, as you can see there. Now, as you can see, police are filming on their phones as well. These activists probably to gather evidence and to get faces too. But this is all planned to be a week of disruption in Sydney, Blockade Australia say. And it all started this morning at 8 o'clock, where they met earlier at 8 o'clock, Pete. What they have been doing as well is pulling things onto the road, like building materials, milk crates, bins, even those orange big dividers. They've been pulling those into the middle of the road, and then the police following them have been quickly moving them off the road pretty much straight away. All designed to cause disruption, Pete. Yeah,
and as we know, Kenny, new offences for protest disruption carry maximum penalties of $22,000 or 2 years in jail or both, as we take these high pictures at the moment from the chopper. So big fines could well be coming, Kenny. This was supported not just by the government, but the Labor Party last week as well. Is there any concerns about that on the ground at the moment, Kenny? These big fines that these protesters may well have to pay?
Doesn't seem like it at this point. I haven't had a chance to chat with one. I almost had a chat with one of them before, but they were moving very quickly. But every time the police tell them to get off the road, they shout out, "Get onto the road." So I'm guessing they're not worried at all about what consequences they may face, and they're continuing to pull things onto the road to cause disruption. They're just doing loops around the city at the moment, Pete. There's no specific direction that we're taking at this point in time, and I doubt whether we're heading to a particular location. It's all just designed to cause disruption in peak hour.
Okay. And what can you say about that? Just from walking around at the moment, Kenny, with the camera there following you in hot pursuit, what's happening to the traffic as far as you can see? Is it backing up?
I have to say, not really, which makes me think that their efforts are a little bit in vain. Because they're moving so quickly through these intersections now. They were trying to block the intersections before, but because they're moving so quickly, they're not really blocking roads for that long. And their attempts to block roads with items is not really having much of an effect as well, because police are removing them from the road pretty much straight away. So they're not having too much of an effect on slowing down traffic and pedestrian movement, which is what they've been trying to do. But I suspect that police are not going to let this go on for too much longer, and we may see more arrests come very soon.
Kenny Heatley is our man on the ground in the Sydney CBD this morning, trying to keep up with those protesters as they looks like they're scurrying away to something else, and Kenny's in hot pursuit as well. So, as we've just said, and as we had warned this morning, the protesters had been planning for this. In fact, the police had made a few raids on the Blockade Australia protesters last week in readiness for this. But those warnings, it seems as though they have fallen on deaf ears, and as we just reported too, there are huge fines now in place for illegal protests. As we take these chopper shots again, huge fines now in place for illegal protests that take place in Sydney. Now, this protest at the moment by Blockade Australia, it's different to a whole series of other union protests that will be taking place in Sydney throughout the course of this week. These ones are illegal protests, so these protesters will be in line for those huge fines. As you can see, banners being held up at those intersections in the CBD at the moment, which will cause delays. There's no doubt about that. It will cause some delays when it comes to traffic in the CBD this morning. Just how long, we don't know. But we will go back to Kenny soon as he can reposition and maybe catch his breath too. But these pictures are coming to us live from the CBD at the moment. A Blockade Australia protest that has been planned specifically to disrupt, and to an extent, that's exactly what they are doing. Back on that soon.